host, Tiffany Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration, and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I thought it would be really fun to do a bit of a life update and share a little bit about what's going on in my life. I know so many of you follow me on Instagram and watch my Instagram stories, which, by the way, is the place where I just let it all out in the open. I share everything on my Instagram stories. So if you're not following me on there already, I am at tiffanychung.co. And I wanted to just let you all into my life a little more, a little deeper. I want to share some aspects that I've never really talked about on the podcast, and the spirit of my business, spirit in general, just really sent me this download and was like, why don't you just turn on the microphone and just start talking about what's going on in your life and let them in that aspect, right? It doesn't have to be a teaching. It doesn't have to be something profound related to building their business, and everything that you share is value. And that's something I say to my students all the time. So I really want to embody that. So I am in the last semester of school. For some of you who have known me or have been following me for a while, and if you're brand new, I've been in college for about the past 8 years. I graduated I graduated high school in 2012. I was 17 and I went to San Francisco State University. So I finished the year there, and I was supposed to finish what I assumed would be 4 years of college education there at SFSU, but I got kicked out because I can't do math, and I was put on academic probation because I failed a math class, which I think is kind of dumb, but obviously I'm very biased. I just don't like math. It has nothing to do with my major, and so I just don't like anything that has to do with numbers. I'm very grateful that I have both my parents are accountants. My dad's CPA. My mom I've hired, and I've actually retired her, so she's my bookkeeper, and very smart, very analytical people, but my brain doesn't do numbers. If you're ADHD and you are more, flowy and kind of visionary and artistic and creative, you're typically not a math person. So I've accepted that about myself very, very early on, and I've cried over math, and yeah. So anyway, that's my kind of spiel on that. But I was thinking I would just go back after one semester at a community college, my local community college, and so I did go there. And then after that semester, almost as soon as it was up, I was pregnant. I found myself pregnant at 18. And of course, that, took my life in a completely different direction. And so throughout the years, I have been taking 1 or 2 classes a semester, always taking summer classes. Sometimes I'll take 3 classes, and I've always been working multiple jobs. And so I've been working 2 to 3 jobs at a time, a lot of side hustles. I've done, multi-level marketing jobs. I've done, digital marketing. I was a marketing manager, marketing and communication, social media, social social media manager, all the things that I really enjoyed. I drove for Lyft and Uber. I would sell my clothes, right? Anything to kind of make rent and make sure that my newborn had, food and formula and all the things that you need. So I did all of that while being in school. I actually remember being like 9 months, 8 months pregnant, taking finals and like turning in my paper. And it was like the last day of class. My professor was like, "Oh, when's your due date?" And just remember being in college and being huge, being pregnant and just like, walking around everywhere, like wobbling and just kind of, yeah, I was doing the damn thing. Like I didn't give a fuck what people thought. I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to school. I'm doing this. Like I don't give a fuck what y'all think about me. So that was kind of my energy there. And then of course, after Alaska was born, I took her to class with me. Sometimes I just could not afford childcare or I couldn't find anyone to watch her. And I was going through a really rocky phase with my parents when she was very, very young. Remember, they had kicked me out of the house. And so, didn't have a good relationship with them for, a while. We're in good terms now, but it was rocky for a while. And so I would take her into classrooms with me. She would sit next to me. It would just be like, oh my God. It would just be like, the shit that you have to do as a single mom going to school. So this degree means so much more to me than it would maybe to someone who just, went through their 4 years and like partied through it or whatever the fuck, like I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that experience is like. I've just grinded really hard through my college years and was a single mom, like pushing it. And so, I always found it really hard to relate to these, younger college kids that had everything paid for and taken care of and, didn't have to work and just like, it was a very, very like night and day difference. So it was funny because like I'm also the youngest of all of the parents that I know from Alaska's school. And so I never felt like I fit in there with like the older moms that were, just like like didn't relate to them and then didn't relate because I was going through so much in like college. And so I just very much kept to myself, like didn't even really make friends or spend a lot of time with friends during those years. And so being in the last semester of college and being able to have a degree, even though I don't even need one, I think just goes to show like, hey, this is something that I did for myself and I did for my parents. And I know that they should say, people say things like, oh, you should do it for yourself. And like, I think ultimately I am doing it for myself, but also if you're a child of immigrants, like you are also doing this shit for your parents in a way, right? I'm not saying there's right or wrong or whatever, right? Like I'm not going to police anyone's actions, but yeah, I finished my degree for my parents. And I did it for myself and I did it for my daughter for a lot of different reasons. And I also recognize that you don't need a fucking degree. And my daughter, if she chooses not to get a degree, I'm not going to fucking care. Like I don't care. And I don't think it makes that big of a difference. But I think for me with the story and what I've overcome, I think it was kind of this marker where I was like, well, you know what? By the time I started my business and saw that it was going to be very successful, I was pretty much wrapping up, senior year or, like, I don't know. I obviously I've been in college for like 7-8 years. So it's not really like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, like the last 2 years of college, I would say. So yeah, that's very exciting. I'm going to be graduating in mid-May. And so I'm going to celebrate and it'll be really good. I'm actually on spring break right now. So that is that's a big update. Really, really excited about that. Alaska's turning 8 in July and I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that she is healthy and thriving and just like so many things, having to navigate, being a mom of a 7-year-old and realizing that like, oh, shit doesn't get easier. It just gets different. And so like some of the things that like were used to be challenges before obviously aren't challenges anymore because she's either grown out of it or, right, like I don't have to worry about potty training or diapers or her screaming and whining, even though she still does that. It's just different, right? It's just like, okay, so now she's grown out of that stage and now we're dealing with like bullies at school, or we're dealing with her friends being mean to her and me teaching her about what a healthy friendship looks like and shouldn't look like, right? Having to deal with other parents that are just completely like cannot even speak to them, will not acknowledge their child's behaviors at all, which I think is insane because I'm such a conscious and intentional parent with Alaska, and I know that her actions towards others mean so much. I teach her all the time about kids that look different than her and act different than her, have different cognitive abilities than her, have different families that look different than hers, right? Some might have two moms or two dads or whatever it might be. I'm always having these conversations with her. And so when I meet other parents and we get, our children are being picked on or whatever it is, it shocks me that some other parents don't think that same way. So it's been a journey. I don't think that motherhood is ever something that is simple and easygoing. I think that it comes with seasons, just like business, right? I never say I've balanced motherhood and business and school. I have such a good balance. Like, I don't believe in balance. I think that you prioritize what is most aligned to you in the season of your life that it is aligned, right? So for me, obviously, the past almost decade of my life has been being a mom, being a good mom, and being present for my daughter, and finishing my degree, of course, putting motherhood first, because obviously I'm not going to school full time. I've been taking 1 or 2 classes each semester. So I've always been a part-time student. And then my business, right? So my business is obviously like I work full time in the sense that I don't work any other jobs, but I also have the privilege of the flexibility and whatnot that I have working from home, having the financial abundance that I have now, even though it wasn't always that way. Obviously, I worked to create this life for myself. So yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of motherhood, though, I think that there are so many stages that your child is going to go through and that you're going to go through as a parent, and you could truly just do the best that you can. And reminding myself that like one outburst or me losing my shit one day is not going to be the like marker of me as a parent, and actually is really, important to be able to have conversations afterwards and say, hey, the way that I reacted was not okay, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't have yelled. Do you forgive me? And talk about like what that healthy communication looks like. And it gives them an opportunity to witness humanity firsthand and witness me loving my humanity and loving myself. And so in the future, my child's, I was going to say child or children, but I'm not going to have any more kids. Alaska knows that she can make mistakes and she can love herself. And so I think that that's really beautiful. And I think that that's something that each parent can really take to heart, because we can be so hard on ourselves, especially as moms, be really, really hard on ourselves and wanting to get things right. But I think it's really important for them to see us fuck up, because we're going to fuck up and we're going to fuck them up. And that's just the way of life, right? It just is what it is. You're a human raising a human. There's no way you're going to raise a perfect child, because you're not perfect and they're not perfect. And so aiming for perfection is not is not the thing. Like, they're going to have their own brand of fucked up regardless of what you do, because we're human beings. And so what I've really learned is to do the absolute best and be intentional and be conscious, take care of myself, put myself first, so that I am not pouring from an empty cup. I am prioritizing my business. I prioritize myself. I have someone watch her so that I can have solo vacations and me time. And, I have her in extended care so that I can run my business and take calls into the afternoon. There's so many things that I do that really prioritize me, and she knows it. And I do take intentional time away from her, and she knows it. And it makes me a better mom. And I love me for that. Something I did not see growing up. And so I think it's so, so, so important for our kids to see that, because then it just creates this like really messy, unhealthy, codependent relationship that, you don't want to have. Yeah, so that is another little update. Let me see, what else do I want to share? So, as some of you may have listened to, I hit 500K in business, which is incredible. Something I'm learning is to really, and I feel like I've embodied this a lot, but like really creating that fulfillment first. And I feel like I've really hit it with this milestone. Is like, oh, I felt that fulfillment before the 500K came. Like I felt like a 500K earner for months before it came. And I loved that. I thought that was so important for me and really beautiful, especially since I had chased money milestones for so long. And so it felt really good for me to really be able to call in that emotion first and have had managed my mind in such a way. So I'm really excited about that. An exciting launch I'm looking forward to is the launch of my mastermind, which, oh my God, I can't believe I'm even saying that. I haven't really announced this anywhere. So if this is like a little golden nugget in this episode. If you have, gotten this far, obviously you have. I am launching a mastermind this year, and the details are still to be sorted because there are certain details and kind of requirements and different things that I would really like to be certain of. But I will share more information as time comes on. And if there is a wait list available by the time this episode goes live, I will have that in the show notes. So feel free to check that out, and my Instagram for more details on that. So I'm really excited. I think that this is a really beautiful place I've gotten to in business, where I just feel really, really confident about what I'm doing, what I'm building, who I am, my results I'm creating. I feel like I'm taking full responsibility for everything I've created. By no means am I in this energy of like, oh, I've got it all figured out. I know exactly what I'm doing, right? It's like the same thing with motherhood. It is with business. You kind of like never fully are in that place of like, oh, I got it. And then the second that you do, everything just kind of like throws you for a loop. And the reason that I don't ever want to be in that energy is because I always want to be evolving, because I know my business is always going to evolve. I don't want it to be stagnant. I don't want to know everything either. I want there to be this level of uncertainty where I'm like, ooh, let me get curious about that. Let me play with that. Let me learn from that, right? Business is such a big reflection to our inner selves and really brings up all of our triggers, all of our abandonment issues and anxieties, and all of the things that really come up in our inner child wounds and our healing, right? And so I want to continue growing. I want my business to continue growing. And I know that in order to do so, I'm not always going to be able to predict and get what I want. So I am always open to learning and never being that person that's like, oh yeah, I'm greater and I'm better and I know all of it. That has never ever been my energy. That's never been my intention. And so knowing that and being, instead of the smartest person in the room, the most like curious person in the room instead, I think has really helped me to learn and to be open and to explore new things and to have my own back through all of it, because I think that's so important. So yeah, I'm really excited about that launch. Stay tuned. I will share more details as they come to me. What else is going on in my life? I have started embarking on this journey that is so new to me that I have to share. So I have started healing my relationship with the masculine. And if you're not familiar with what that means or that phrase or term at all, essentially what I'm doing is looking at men and masculine energy and my inner masculine energy, as well as wounds from the patriarchy and just wounded masculine experiences and people from my past or who are still currently in my life, right? Like healing my relationship with my dad has been crazy and incredible. And so really summing this up, it's been a real ride, and I've only started it recently, right? And what I mean by what I'm doing here by healing, because I know that's like a big kind of like umbrella term, is for a lot of my life, because I've been, you know, I'm I've been abused in many ways by men in my life that I thought that I can trust, all of them being romantic partners, right? Or betrayed in some way. Like, my dad would always work really long hours. And so growing up, I never got to see him as much as I wanted to. And so I made up a story that made it mean like, oh my goodness, he cares more about his work, when really he took on the role as the provider of the family. And while I can pick apart all of these different ways that he could have done things differently, like, I can also, appreciate all of the ways in which he showed up and allowed me to have a, private school education, or make sure there was food on the table and a roof over my head at night, and blankets to sleep underneath, right? Like, there are so many ways where I can kind of shift that. And so for a really long time after I've endured, abusive relationships with romantic partners and, different men that I had been in partnership with that I thought that I can trust, I started taking on this, narrative of like, fuck men ain't shit, right? Like, I will never trust a man. I will never get married. For some of you that are close to me or that have been watching my Instagram stories, like I say, I like share everything on there. I like have no filters. So my Instagram stories have seen it all. I shared for a long time, actually up until recently, that I was not open to marriage. I do not see myself getting married. I do not see myself in a partnership, right? I was so deep in my pain and my heartbreak that I feel like still lived in my body. And so what I've been doing over time, of course, right? This isn't like, oh, all of a sudden I just decided like, I'm going to up and deal with all this. I've been healing and healing and healing, and I've gone to therapy and I've gotten coaching and I've done all of these things. I've just never really called it like healing the masculine. It's more so just been healing heartbreak and, moving forward from a broken heart and a ending a relationship type of thing, where I am healing like inner child wounds. But this is specifically like healing my relationship with the masculine, as someone who has, obviously masculine energies, as we all do, as well as, me being in my feminine body. Like, what does that mean to me? What could that look like for me in terms of a partnership in the future, right? Like, I just recently stepped away from a very conscious partnership with someone that I could see myself with, someone that I can see myself with in terms of that kind of person, right? It's showing me what was possible and fully receiving love and abundance and care and pleasure and sensuality and all of these things that were so beautiful that I didn't even think was possible. And I think it's really beautiful when you're able to open your heart to those experiences and choose to create a different story that's opposing the one that you had been believing for so long. And it helped me to realize that there were a lot of shadows where I liked believing those stories. There was a part of my subconscious that liked it. It served me because it continued, it got me out of having to do real work about it. It got me out of having to like heal it even deeper. It got me out of like, oh, well, this is coming up for me. This is another layer in which I have to shed and heal. Like, let's dig into that. Like, it would get me out of that by just saying, oh no, all men are evil or all men are bad, which obviously I knew was not the case. Even when I used that term, I was talking about specific men that would, disrupt sovereignty and autonomy over women's bodies, over, the autonomy women had over their own bodies, and, people that were that had evil and cruel intentions. But I did see that narrative start to play in when I would go on dates and meet new people. And obviously, like, I'm sexually fluid, and so I don't date just men. I date all people, right? Not non-binary women, and of course, men, and all people. So I'm very sexually fluid. I'm attracted to souls. I'm not necessarily attracted to specific bodies. And so anyway, it's just been really interesting because it's funny. I feel like I've healed so many areas of my life. Like, I've done a lot of work around my inner child wounds. I've done a lot of work like reprogramming my subconscious and limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, my mindset, building a business, being a mom, being a good mom, right? Being a student, like all of these things that I feel like I've worked through in my life. And relationships have always been something that have always really come up for me. So it's been interesting, embarking on this new journey. And I think I'm actually going to hire a coach around this area just because I love working with coaches. It just speeds up the process so much more. When you work with someone one-on-one, you're really able to like dive deep into this. And I think that's just such a powerful way of being a student and learning. I love learning and working with coaches. Like, it makes me so excited to pay them, especially if they're like, it's like a lot of money and it stretches me and it's like a big investment. I just get like so turned on by that. It's just like so exciting for me. So yeah, that's something that's been really interesting, and that's something I've been working on and has been taking up some of my time and my mental energy. I've also probably shared metaphors about this in the podcast, but I've taken on skating lessons. So I've been doing it for about 4 months now, which has been really amazing. I hired a one-on-one coach to teach me to skate, and I meet with her every single Friday. She's done competitions and is really obviously incredible in that area. And I'm really happy to be learning from her. And being on the ice has just been such a beautiful way of flowing and kind of taking my mind off of everything. Like, I'm like, skating is such a micro precision sport where you literally shift your weight from the heel of your blade to the ball of your foot. And if you do it a little bit too much, like, you're falling over, right? It's like so much, it's so much in your body. Like, you have to trust your body, you have to trust the skates, you have to trust the ice, you have to trust like you're gonna be okay. And it's a one big trust exercise, and it's been so much fun. And I highly recommend anybody to take on ice skating. It's just such a beautiful sport, and it's so much fun. And obviously I'm doing this recreationally, but yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful way for me to experience um being in my body and my feminine flow while getting in some good exercise as well. But yeah, I think that is all of the updates that I want to share at this point. I'm sure I'll make another one of these very soon, and maybe I'll do a Q&A, or if there's something specific that you'd love for me to touch on, that's something that I can consider. So let me know if you enjoy these more life updates and a little peek behind the scenes of what's going on behind all of the business stuff. Let me know if you enjoy this, and I will definitely record more. Have a beautiful day, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.